everyone, and welcome to a head coaching review podcast. I don't know exactly what you would call this, but we're going to talk about the brand new head coaches in the NFL, some retreads, some new guys, and with what we think these teams did. So, are you ready to jump into this?
Absolutely.
Now, we will be going alphabetical order. This is not going to be the order they were hired in or fired in. Honestly, I did not feel like figuring that out and doing a map like they did in Always Sunny Philadelphia with Charlie Day. So we will kick it off with the Arizona Cardinals, who I believe they were the last ones to make the hire, if I'm correct.
Well, technically, no, because it's not official with Kubiak.
But they pretty much are the last ones. Yeah. So they hired Mike LaFleur. Matt LaFleur's younger brother, I believe he is, has been working with Sean McVay for a couple years. I believe at one point he was a Kentucky offensive coordinator. He had some Kentucky ties. Or I might just be confusing his time with Liam Cohen. That's very possible. But this is a very interesting hire, as the Cardinals take from within. Okay, correct myself. That was confused Liam Cohen. He was with the Jets at the time. So, maybe a little cause for concern, but the Cardinals taken from a divisional rival, taken from the Los Angeles Rams, and he has worked under some pretty good staffs. He was with the 49ers during a Super Bowl run. He was with the Falcons when they had Kyle Shanahan there. He was with the Jets, but they were also saddled with some poor quarterback play and some poor roster-making decisions that weren't on him, and has been with the Rams since 2023, and I would say he's done a very good job. Now, the big concern is he does not call plays. So, how much of that is a concern for you right now that this is going to be him calling plays for the first time since the Jets?
Could it? Does it really matter?
No.
Right? I mean, he can grow into this position, right? And I mean, if he's called plays before, then he's called plays. So they have some talent. It's going to matter if they can put the pieces in that are going to help him grow the team. You were pretty bullish on this team going into last year.
Yeah, we make mistakes.
Yeah, yes, we do. That's not where I'm going with this.
Oh no, I just won't up to it.
and now we're at an unknown, right? We don't know how LaFleur is going to do. I mean, you know, his brother is pretty darn good about it. So we don't know what's going to happen. This is a super young roster. I really wonder if other people just didn't want to take the job.
I think that could be a possibility. I mean, it's very well documented that a lot of teams don't view a lot of personnel people in the NFL don't view the Cardinals owner as good. And I think that's something we saw as we looked at who were the last three teams to hire a coach: Cleveland, Raiders, and the Cardinals.
Well, and for the Raiders, in their defense, they had been targeting Kubiak for a long time. So, so here's the crazy thing. Arizona they only have $35 million in cap space for next year. I know, only, but I mean they're out of the top 10, and you think about their, where they're drafting, where they finished this year, you would have hoped that they had more money to go in and spend. And I mean, you can clear up that's not really that big a deal. You can, clear that up. They're probably going to have some cap casualties. I'm just looking at this really quick. Of course, Murray is a $52 million cap hit this year.
Wow, I wonder who's that general manager that keeps on sniffing his own farts on Fox Sports that hypes himself up for that contract still.
So Buda Baker's $20 million, $13 million dead cap. Josh Sweat So here's the thing. Their top five players, their top five cap hits. Kyler's 29, Buddha's 30, Josh Sweat's 29, Dalvin Tomlinson is 32, and James Conner is 31.
I
Um,
I say I feel like one of those guys I would probably really try to move in Buda Baker just because I feel like Buda Baker is the now listen, if you can move Kyler, absolutely. I don't think anyone's taking that contract right now. But Buda Baker's the one guy I think you can move and get actual value from.
Probably, but here's the thing. I mean, you're still on him for $14 million, and he's 30 years old,
Yeah.
right? So, uh, what is his contract
And
right now?
and we look at a guy like Josh Sweat. It's entirely possible he may get traded to the Packers for like maybe Rashawn Gary straight up because Gannon's now there and the Packers clearly need more pass rush help. So maybe we see something like that where the Packers can get I mean not the Packers, the Cardinals can get a younger pass rusher in exchange for Josh Sweat.
And he has one more year left on his contract. So that would mean he's actually at the time, at the end of next season, he's going to be 32. How much money are you going to dump into, a 32-year-old player, unless you're close or you think you're close and you just want, you think you need that extra piece. Other than that, I don't see very many teams kind of going after him because it's not really a good trade prospect. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's very hard to say, and that's the issue with the Cardinals. You can be forgiven if you're not trying to compete for a playoff spot and you suck. If you're trying to compete for a playoffs spot, you suck. It's unforgivable. If you aren't, it's pretty forgivable, and that's where the Cardinals are. They paid a lot of money. They made financial investment into this team, and they still sucked. That's why we see them have a new head coach, and I wonder how hot the waters are for Monty. As a lot of this is also his fault because they really paid a lot of money. And to be fair, the worst contract happened before either of those guys were hired in Kyler. So we really look at this. How much investment are they going to still put into Kyler Murray, or are they just going to be like, okay, we need a complete reset on this. Maybe Kyler stays for one more year, and then we can move his contract when it's a little bit easier to move. And we kind of, we don't try and suck, but we're not going to outright try and win it all.
In that division, this is going to be tough. New coaching staff, everything. It's just going to be tough.
It's probably the roughest landing spot for a coach.
I would, AFC West is no picnic either.
AFC
Let's
West
go.
is no picnic, but like three of the three teams in your division went to the playoffs, and they were maybe the three best teams in the conference.
Yeah, well, there could be something said to that. So let's go on to the Buffalo Bills.
It would be the Atlanta Falcons next if
Oh, what?
alphabetical.
Okay, my apologies.
Kevin Stefanski hater.
Yeah, no, you know that. You know that's not true.
I mean, listen, we could come on here and give you a bunch of reasons why this is going to work. Because it's going to. Kevin Stefanski, one with Jimmy Haslam as his owner. And I know we can all be like, well, the general manager's a buffer between them. No, Jimmy Haslam does what Jimmy Haslam wants. Look at the draft history. Notice how all the big name college guys usually end up in Cleveland. That's because Jimmy wants those guys. And he doesn't know better. And a lot of the contract decisions go from Jimmy. He wants those big flashy moves. Kevin Stefanski won in Cleveland. He took them to the playoffs and won a playoff game. How many coaches of my lifetime can say that?
Coach of the year twice.
Yep.
When you get out of his way and let him coach. When he was really successful, that really solid running game, play action, had a receiver that would go across the middle, and they had a pretty good tight end. Kind of what Atlanta has. Atlanta's got a young defense, so To be quite honest, if you were going to, put hot coals to my feet and make me pick two teams that that the coaching, that the coaching staffs are going to get them into the playoffs next year, or that they're just going to be in the playoffs next year, coaching staff or not, and it would be Atlanta and Buffalo.
Okay. Yeah, Atlanta, I think they upgraded. The moves I want to see them make this offseason, and listen, they pretty much took a lot of Cleveland staff, minus keeping, I believe they retained Jeff Ulbrich, which is a big move. Their whole offseason, I would like to see them add another wide receiver, and really, that's kind of it. Like, this team was really good down the stretch, and it's a young, hungry defense that's going to get better another year, and they're going to be in the same system because they retained the DC. I really like the direction the Falcons are going.
Yeah, I do too. I do as well.
Moving on to the Baltimore Ravens, and oh boy, I was a little on Jesse Minter because I had heard some coaches he wanted I wasn't a fan of. And then he proceeded to shut everyone up by going out and assembling a really good staff. And I think Jesse Minter is going to be a great hire for Baltimore because I've seen him do a lot with not so much in Los Angeles. And Baltimore, their defense is in a very similar spot to the Chargers where I don't see many guys I like, but I feel like coaching have put a lot of guys in the right position. What do the Chargers have? They have a stud safety, an aging pass rusher, and a good middle linebacker. I don't think the Ravens have the pass rusher, so that's a thing I would very much target this offseason. But they got the stud safety, and instead of an aging pass rusher, they got an aging middle linebacker who I'm a little iffy on watching the back half of the season, but I'll give Roquan Smith the benefit of the doubt.
I'm not as high on the coaching staff as you are. I think there's a lot of questions there. I really like the Jesse Minter pick. I think that he is going to turn out to be a really, really good head coach. But I'm not like super high on Doyle. So I mean, Minter's gonna be his own defensive play caller. I understand that. So I just, like I said, I think there's a lot of unproven for somebody that's gonna focus primarily on one side of the ball. That being said, we never know what's going to happen until you put feet to field, right? Last year, when McDonald took over, worked on the defense, thought they had the offensive pieces in stock, they almost made the playoffs with a subpar offense, subpar offensive line anyway. And so, it might be growing pains for the first year or so, but I really think that he comes from that tree that if it's not working, he's going to get it fixed, right? He's just going to move on and get it handled. So
yeah, and that was a big key for Baltimore was I understand you want a new voice to the locker room. I think Harbaugh's still a really good coach, and we're going to talk about him in a little bit. But you can make the argument, hey, it was getting stale in the room. There were just some players that wasn't working out with anymore, and you want to go a new direction. And really with Minter, you're taking on a chance of the guy from the same tree that kind of feels very similar to Harbaugh, who you just let go.
Well, yeah, he's been in that tree, if you want to call it that, for quite a while. But it's like I said, I think it's just going to be a matter of trying to get these scheme fits. And unfortunately, when they made the decision and brought him in, a lot of the coordinators that you might have thought would have been picked up were gone. A lot of teams switched offensive and defensive coordinators this year. And since they didn't have to replace the head coach, they were really, really active to get things handled. So
The one guy I heard that was going to be in discussion was Greg Roman, and the fact it's not Greg Roman is an automatic yes.
So let's just look at they have a little over $23 million in cap space.
They
Take a guess at Lamar's cap hit.
73 million.
74 and a half.
You got to rework that deal. You're probably going to look to extend him out, I would say, right now. And that will free up money and everything. That will be a big cap relief. My question is still, though, and Minter's done a lot with less, though, but I really feel like you need to overhaul this defense. Marlon Humphrey, I think he was once a really talented player. Father time's come for him. I think it's time for him to go. And I can just go through a lot of their defenders, and I'm just like, time to move on. Time to move on.
You brought up Roquan. His cap hit is 32 million, a little almost 33, right? Matabike,
who might retire.
31 million, right? Marlon Humphrey, 30 million. Oh, I'm sorry, age 30, 26 million. And then it drops down. Kyle Hamilton is about 10 and a half. Ronnie Stanley is almost 10. And then you're like, basically you're when you're looking at it, your top 5 players are accounting for over half of your salary cap.
Yeah, that's not good. And I feel like we're really going to learn how much of this was Eric DaCosta and how much of this was Harbaugh when we see the draft.
Yeah. So Roquan, he has this year and next year, and they're both the same. So for both years, you're looking at a base of the same cap hit, right? So he's making basically a little over 20 million a year, but his cap hit because of the cash paid out is 32. Matabike, and you said you heard that he might be retiring?
Yeah, he's got it was like an injury and it's just not going well.
Yeah, so he's done after 27 as well. And Marlon Humphrey is this is the last year of his.
I
he has a void year coming up.
If the Ravens want to be a good team next year, he has to have played his last down for the Ravens. Because I don't think he's a good cornerback anymore. I don't think he's an adequate cornerback. He gets burned way too often.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. So Kyle Hamilton, are you gonna have to rework him this year?
I think his contract's just coming up. But
no. Actually, they extended him. So, starting next year, he's a $26 million cap hit. This is the last year of his rookie deal. So he's 26 million, almost 28 million, and then 25 million.
Yeah. And you also have to remember, Tyler Linderbaum's a free agent. That's your starting center. And he's a really good starting center.
Yeah.
So that's going to be very interesting when they move. But moving on to the Buffalo Bills. Okay. Do I think they should have fired Sean McDermott? No. Do I think Brandon Beane should have been fired? Yeah. Do I really have an issue with Joe Brady getting promoted? No. I'm really in the part of the Bills and I'm like, what really changed besides you promote your OC because you didn't want to lose him?
Was keeping the OC that big a deal?
Apparently to them. I really wonder how much of this was a power struggle that Brandon Beane won. That's just with what I think this is at. And I'm a hockey fan. So when I say this, Terry Pegula is a horrible owner when he starts to think he can get involved in stuff. I've seen it with the Buffalo Sabres. He will make radical decisions that usually set the team back. I just don't think Brady's that big of an upgrade of Sean McDermott, or an upgrade at all, because we haven't seen him as head coach. But hey, at least you keep the same play caller. You'll probably run back a very good defense, just because they hired, was it Jim Leonard, I believe it was, the former Wisconsin defensive coordinator. He's been with the Broncos recently. He's a good defensive mind. I really don't have anything to criticize that there. I'm just still on the part of I don't understand why McDermott was let go and Beane stays. If you cut both of them loose, I get it. If you wanted to fire one, I would have gone with Beane. But hey, I'm not rich enough to make those decisions, apparently.
No, you're not. This is just one of those moves where I don't get it, and I mean, give him the players that he needs to have to coach. And I thought, McDermott would have made a good thing, and we're going to see, right? We're going to see what's going to happen. So ultimately, I think Buffalo is still a good enough team that they'll make the playoffs next year.
I gotta ask, did you see both when they fired McDermott and Brady's introductory press conference with what was said?
No.
So when, the whole press conference when they fired McDermott, Brandon Beane threw him under the bus saying, yeah, he really wanted Keon Coleman, but I was a team guy. I wasn't his biggest fan, so I drafted him. And then they promote Joe Brady, and one of the first things he says is, yeah, I really like Keon Coleman during the draft process. I'm excited to use him. I've never seen a team throw a guy under the bus so fast and try to yank him out.
Yeah, well, hey, I liked Keon Coleman in the draft cycle too, and it looks like I was wrong as well. So,
woohoo! Something I was right about.
Well, I mean, who knows? He's got time to develop, right?
Yeah, but he's a Florida State player. Those guys don't get better.
Wow. All right.
Don't tell Jared Verse I said that for my safety. Moving on to the Cleveland Browns, and I think you're more positive on this hire than me because I've been a very vocal critic of Todd Monken during his time at Baltimore. I don't know if you are or not. I'm just not a Monken guy. That's really what it boils down to. I really felt like he went away from what worked too often in Baltimore. And when you take away his franchise game-changing quarterback, the offense, it wasn't good. Now you can say, hey, you got backup quarterbacks. Yeah, I get that argument, but it just wasn't really good at all. When you can watch a bunch of their games this year, the one game without Lamar being completely healthy, elite Lamar, that they looked really good on offense was the game against the Packers, and they didn't look good since Micah Parsons got hurt. So I'm very much in the department of I just don't care for Todd Monken as a play caller.
I don't know where you thought that. I thought this was a good pickup.
There seems to be a lot of positive thought process on Todd Monken, and I'm not one of them.
Not me. Okay. No, not me. Not to mention the fact that for the last couple of years, the strongest part of your team has been the defensive play, and now you have alienated your defensive coordinator, and he wants out.
So,
right?
Did you see his? Because I think it was today he had his introductory press conference.
Monken did?
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
He said, when I was the coach at Baltimore, I schemed to chip Myles Garrett, not Jim Schwartz. Okay.
Well, there you go. Right.
And you seem to not have made other players happy because on Instagram after the move was made, Myles Garrett posted a meme of sad and depressed. Denzel Ward seemed to have some of those. It seems to be a common thread that your best players in defense were like, guys, what were you thinking? Maybe if you hired a really young offensive mind guy that's new and innovative, sure. But I don't believe Monken's that. And some key things that I have found out recently. What's the number one thing people always say about Todd Monken? He won a national championship at Georgia. Do you know he didn't have full play calling responsibilities there? That a lot of it was between everyone there. And current Florida Gators offensive coordinator Buster Faulkner had a big say in a lot of what was called.
That doesn't surprise me.
So we look at this. The guy who we all parade around winning a national championship had a minute role in the national championship and has gone to Baltimore and goes away from with what works. This is a move I don't get from Cleveland unless he's a sacrificial lamb. But that's the only thing that makes sense to me.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think that this team is, from soup to nuts, has a lot of issues, and
they're also another one. Why did you fire the coach instead of the GM?
I'm not sure about that. I didn't agree with that fire. Stefanski is one of my favorite coaches in the league. So, but let's get on to the Dolphins next.
Okay. I am very curious to see how this goes because Jeff Hafley, to me, is either going to be a very good hire or he's going to be fired by the end of year 2, in my opinion. Because looking over everything, when the Steelers were, they wanted to bring him in and everything, I looked. They were the worst third in medium team in the entire league. The Packers were on defense. That was including with Micah Parsons. They gave up the highest conversion rate on third and medium than anyone else. And that is a big concern for me. But you also hear how players talk about him. They speak glowingly of him. And that makes me think maybe if he's a CEO coach, where he doesn't really handle as much play calling responsibilities, where he's just kind of in the room, working with everyone and just making sure everything's up to speed, I think this could be really good, but I'm just concerned if he really becomes that play calling head coach.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what actually happens, right? And I'm looking for their coaches.
While you look for that, the Miami Dolphins, they need to fix their trenches. I've been begging for this for the past how many years now?
So, I guess, so I didn't see this, but Bobby Slowick.
Yes, that's right.
And Sean Dugan is the DC.
It's going to be very interesting how Slowick works, just because we saw it work really well in Houston and then completely fell apart. And I think a big part of that's due to bad offensive line play in Houston, but I mean, Miami doesn't have really good offensive line play.
I personally think Slowick was a sacrificial lamb. That's my opinion of it. And I mean, he's not there now, right? He wasn't in Houston, this year. He wasn't in New England when they played, and that offense was horrible. So, I think he was a sacrificial lamb just because they wanted somebody to go and they wanted somebody's had to roll, and so it was his.
Yeah, and I completely get that. The one thing I will say, though, is I don't think his offense will work at all with the current Miami Dolphins offense line. It still needs to be fixed so much. And until that's fixed, I will not have faith in that offense. But I think before we move on to anyone else, we do have to have the Tua discussion of what do they exactly do with Tua, because you benched him. Now, it's a new coach and everything. Maybe the new coach, you can smooth things over. It's not the same guy. But his production and play has not really lived up to anywhere close to the contract, but of a starting caliber quarterback in the NFL, even on some of the poor teams. You can make the argument he would not have been close to the starting quarterback.
Well, let's back up. What are we worried about with Tua? Well, he's got a $52 million cap hit, right? By the way, they're also $23 million over the cap. Tua's dead cap hit for this year is $99 million.
Sorry, Dolphins fans, you got another year of Tua Tagovailoa.
I've talked to a couple of Dolphins fans that think that he's just going to sit on the bench.
I don't know, because that's something I could see an owner stepping up and say, I'm paying him this much money. He needs to play.
Yeah, but I mean, what are you going to do? Okay, so Tua is $56 million against your cap. Tyreek Hill's $51 million against your cap.
Coming off a major leg injury, and his biggest attribute is speed.
Bradley Chubb, $31 million
Oh, no.
against the cap. Minka, almost $19 million against the cap.
Go to a contender, please, Minka.
And then you drop down Austin Jackson's, a little over 15, Jalen Waddle's, 11 and a half. Seiler is 11. Jordan Brooks is 10. But to be quite honest, just by looking at this, I mean, the way they construct their contracts is I mean, it's abysmal. And so,
I was on the fire Chris Greer camp for how long?
Yeah. So, I mean, this team is going to be, I mean, well, you're going to have to rework Tua's deal, right? I don't know what Tyreek's June 1 cap hit, but
yeah, that's like that's such a hard position to go in for a brand new coach and a brand new general manager to rework that team, because you just read off a lot of things, and their highest cap hit guys are not productive anymore. Outside of Minka, are any of those guys like really something that worked out well last year? Even before Tyreek Hill was hurt, he wasn't playing up to that contract. And I would even say Minka was playing up to that contract. And I love Minka. I look at the Dolphins, and do you just have to take like your lumps this upcoming season?
Yeah,
you just got to hold your chin up and just take them on the chin and hope you bounce back.
I mean, technically, like, depending upon how, it's what's their average age? The average age of this team is,
it's older than you think.
Well, I mean, team average is kind of crazy, but the average age of this team is 26. So, I mean, they do have a lot of young, but I mean, they got a lot of old, right? Yeah. And it's in key positions. I mean, so they have to get young, and they have to find inexpensive players. I would say your top four are gonna have major contract reworkings. I mean,
and if not, they're probably not on the team.
Well, I don't know how you can actually cut them. I mean,
I have said if Tua's traded, I think it's like a Brock Osweiler type move where they send a draft pick with it. Like, maybe you see that go to Cleveland, when you see a draft pick go to Cleveland. Or maybe the Jets, like a draft pick goes to the Jets. I can see something like that.
I can't see them giving a draft pick to the Jets.
But I'm trying to think of like teams that know they're going to suck, so take the pick. Like the Cardinals, but they have Kyler.
They currently have $35.5 million in dead cap already.
Bad teams stay bad for a reason.
Yeah.
Are we saving Las Vegas for last because Vegas, or do you want to do them now because we technically skipped over them?
No, we've skipped over them because technically they have not hired a coach.
Oh, God. Okay. The New York Giants. I was a fan of this move until today. Until it was announced who the offensive coordinator was going to be. And I said, well, that was stupid, as Matt Nagy is the new offensive coordinator of the New York Giants.
Well, neither one of us are neither one of us are Matt Nagy fans. Um, what I will say to this is there's really nobody else out there right now. So here's the thing: you give him a year, to work on the team, see what he needs, right? And uh, and then I mean, because let's face it, I mean, he's going to have to. They're going to have to work on their roster as well.
I
Um,
I don't think it's a bad roster. That
no, it's not a bad roster, but they only have currently, as it stands, they have $7 million cap space. You can't even sign your draft picks and your contingencies for that, right? Brian Burns, 36.5 million. Dexter Lawrence, 27 million. Paulson Adebo, 24.5. Andrew Thomas, good God, they pay him $24 million.
oh, just wait till we get to Tennessee. uh, yeah, no. Uh, there have been some bad general manager decisions there. Again, another one in which I'm shocked the GM is still standing. But I think Harbaugh's kind of going to have all to say, if I had to guess. I mean,
I would think so.
we look at the Giants. They have a lot of really good young defensive pieces. They have some good young offensive pieces. I'm concerned about how Cam Scatterboot will be coming off that disgusting injury. There's no other way I can use to describe it. I'm concerned how he'll be athleticism-wise, how long it'll take for him to get up to speed. Tyrone Tracy, I think, is a very talented running back. I don't believe he's number one. The receiver room, Wan'Dale Robinson, I think, is pretty good, and it's going to get a nice contract somewhere. But you don't have the cap space to pay him, and he's gone. Malik Neighbors come back is going to be a big relief. Outside of that on offense, I really don't like this offense a whole lot. The line I don't care for. I'm not a Jackson Dart guy at all. I really just don't see Matt Nagy elevating this group, and that's where I'm at with them.
Well, that's fair. I think that their defense. Well, here, let me back up. One of the things that both Harbaughs are very, very good at is buttoning up team to where they don't make a lot of mistakes, right? The Giants were in several games last year and lost them. Again, look at the Denver game, right?
I'd
They
prefer
were
not to because I still don't comprehend how that happened.
they were they were in several games that a mistake here and a mistake there lost them the game. So I think just by Harbaugh being there, you got a +3, right? Um, he's going to go in. They're going to clean up some of this cap issue. I mean, God, I didn't realize Javon Holland was only 26 years old.
He feels so much older than he
It
is.
feels like he's been around. But Darius Slayton, going to be 30 years old. You're paying him 16 million. Kayvon Thibodeau, you'll extend him out if you're going to keep him. This is the last year of his contract.
That's a pretty good trade chip. Like, if you need to get more draft picks, you think, to overturn the roster, he could net you a couple.
I absolutely agree with you there. The problem is, if they would have done this last year, you would have had team control. Right now, he's kind of holding a lot of the cards because he's not under contract.
Yeah, no, that's a key
Right.
thing.
So what are you going to do? Are you going to franchise tag him and then try to shop him? That how that goes. I'm not signing that.
Yeah, especially
Right.
we both love Thibodeau. I don't think either of us would pay the franchise tag price for him.
I would love to know what that franchise tag price is, but it's got to be upwards of 40 million. And no, I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff the Giants have to do to really fix this team. I'm curious, and I wanted to ask you this. does Harbaugh take a quarterback in the first 3 rounds of the draft? I don't know how many. Okay, hang on. First 4 rounds, because I don't know how many top 3 round picks they have, because he does not have an allegiance to Jackson Dart. We don't know what he thinks of Jackson Dart. It's a mystery there, and you can make the case that he's had so many head injuries already. Maybe that's something that Harbaugh looks at. So, like, do we maybe see him take a shot on, like, a Drew Aller in round 4 and see if he can develop?
Oh, heck. Defensive end is only $27 million.
I still don't know if I'd pay that for Thibodeau.
Well, I'm not sure I would either.
Can I make a prediction where he ends up? San Francisco. Where? He doesn't pass rush, but boy can he play the run. Look at the Giants right now. They have some very talented defensive pieces which can afford them to trade some of their guys. You can trade a Brian Burns and be okay. You can trade a Kayvon Thibodeau if you can and be okay. Like, they have enough pieces on defense. They'll be fine. The offense is the big question for me, and that's where I'm just like, I don't like the Nagy hire. And that's really what's holding me back.
Yeah, no, I get it. And like I said, maybe they picked a horrible offensive coordinator so that they could suck really bad, and after they spend a year getting some of their stuff cleaned up, then they'll be primed for getting somebody in there that, because there'll be movement. So I'm gonna preface this and warn everybody that we are now moving into uncharted territories, because next on this is the Pittsburgh Steelers. Everybody that watches this knows that Jordan is a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. And I will also let everybody know that he is not a fan of Mike McCarthy. Never has been, never will. And so I am going to mute my volume so I can't hear him as he goes off. So it is 8:43. You have until 8:46.
Okay, hang on, real quick. Okay, got a beer to talk about this. Okay, that'll make me feel better. Here's what I don't like about this. I'm just going to jump straight into it. It's going to be they want to run this back because the organization still thinks they can be competitive. Where we look at this team, I can look at this team, you can look at this team, any fan can look at this team and see the clear issues. It's old. It's one of the older teams in the league. They're paying their defense too much. They need to cut back on that. They need to move pieces out. They need to fix this offense. Now, Mike McCarthy has had success as an offensive mind. Yes, but here's the issue. He had success with prime Aaron Rodgers and Dak Prescott. What did he do with other quarterbacks? Brett Hundley couldn't win. Cooper Rush couldn't win. He couldn't elevate those guys. And you're telling me your plans to bring back Aaron Rodgers? And I want to mention this one thing, because Andrew Filipponi, I believe he was the one that tweeted this out. He said that there was a report. Okay, my bad. Oh, no, it was Filipponi. A Steelers source tells me the organization is still very high on Aaron Rodgers. In fact, this person said he is definitely a top 15 starting quarterback in the league. Here are his numbers among 45 quarterbacks with 100-plus snaps last year. 23rd in EPA per play, 35th in success rate, 42 in ADOT, 43rd in longest time to throw, 31st in yards per attempt, 41st in attended yards per attempt, 42nd in completed air yards per attempt, 29th in bad throw percentage, 27th in on-target throw percentage, 23rd in QBR. If you tell me that's a top 15 quarterback, you should be removed from the NFL. You should be up in Canada, or you should be with the Browns, because they don't know quarterbacks either. But the logic within the organization is why I'm so low on this team. From top to bottom, I can't wrap my head around how they view Rodgers as still a good quarterback when this team needs to rebuild. Retool. I don't care if you are afraid of that word, rebuild. Retool. Bring in youth. You have a lot of draft picks this year. Start there.
Here's the thing. You're right. They need to change. They're not going to change anytime soon. At least your team can partially be relevant potentially for a couple years until ownership changes and some things can be, some things can be done. Um, and to be quite honest, when I saw that he was hired, I was like, I thought that he and Rodgers were at odds with one another. So I was kind of shocked that happened. But they're going to be another team that they've got some cap space. They definitely need to go out and get another receiver. And they can restructure some of their deals, cut some players, and they've got some draft capital. So
okay, here's the thing that I think, and this is where I'm going to speak to Steelers fans who like this hire. They have to get rid of a lot of the players you like. Jalen Ramsey is going to have to be let go. Patrick Queen, I think this is the last year of his deal, so I don't know how many guarantees he's got. I see him as the odd man out because they have to overhaul so much of the receiver room. Because Mike McCarthy likes to sit back in 11 personnel and throw it. He doesn't really like to run all that much. He's the closest we will see to an air raid coach in the NFL. And that's really with where I don't get this even on that standpoint. Say, you hired a Kevin Stefanski. I can see how he could come in and win with Pittsburgh. You hired Harbaugh, which they were never going to do because Baltimore. I could see where he could win. I don't see the path winning with McCarthy. And that's what infuriates me more, is that I disagree with what they're trying to do, because they're trying to win. I disagree with how they're doing about it. I don't think they hired a coach to do so. I think this is going to blow up in their faces, because McCarthy likes to sit back, throw it 45 times a game. Aaron Rodgers can't do that anymore. What quarterback on the open market can?
Mahomes. So looking at their salary cap, TJ Watt's $42 million, $94 million in dead cap. 32-year-old, how far out would you like to extend? DK Metcalf is $31 million, $49 million dead cap. You just signed him last year. You're not going to extend him out much. Alex Highsmith is $20 million. At 29 years old, you might kind of rework his deal. He's got an $11 million dead cap.
I think he's one of the players moved. I think they're going to create a spot for Nick Herbig.
Well, and that saves you $9 million. Cam Hayward, he's a $19 million. His cap hit is less than $5 million. So to be quite honest, I think Cam is probably done.
This is most likely his final year, by all the sounds of it. Unless he plays this last year at the Steelers and he tries to go ring chase.
He's not. They're not ring chasing. So, Ramsey. The problem with Ramsey is it's a $14.5 million cap hit, and his salary is only. And here's the thing. What did you and I say going into this season about anybody that wanted to pick up Ramsey? What are you going to have to switch into?
Safety, but there's a problem. He sucked at safety.
Actually, in the middle of the field, he played pretty well. So,
but he can't do any man coverage responsibilities anymore, and he doesn't play zone how you want a safety to play. You can't run Ramsey back as a starting safety if you want to win. See, that's where I'm at. Like, if they bring him back, part of me is going to be happy because I'm like, okay, that's going to be something you lose to. But in the back of my head, I'm going to think, you think playing Ramsey at the safety position is going to help you win? That's where I'm torn at with that.
Well, in the games that I saw, he was around the ball. So I know you're not a huge Ramsey fan. You haven't been. I think this might be. But he's 32 years old. So, I mean, what are you going to do with him? Patrick Queen, $17 million cap hit. Dead cap is under $4 million, though.
I think he's a cut candidate.
Yeah, cut candidate or a huge restructure. Pat, $11 million with half of that is a dead cap. Jonnu, who you hope is gone, it's only a $4 million cap hit, like dead cap to get rid of him.
I wouldn't care if he had a dead cap. I'd cut him.
So, and then so then you have, so 8 players. And now you're down into like your 7 millions, your 6 millions, and things like that. So, I really think that, you're not going to rework Metcalf. I don't know what you're going to do with TJ, just because of like his cap hit and everything else. You're probably just going to have to eat it. But you figure Highsmith, Cam Hayward, Patrick Queen, you can save 24. You can save $40 million there, right? And so maybe you do cut Jalen Ramsey as well, and that cuts into your 40 million. But I mean, your books are kind of clean, and Jonnu down there as well. It's another 6 million, actually 7 million. So they can definitely clean things up. And I mean, I don't know of a quarterback that's going to be moving around, and that there's no way in God's green earth that you're going to get Burrow. So I think you just bite this year.
Well, hang on. Any other team? No. The Bengals, they might be dumb enough.
No, that ain't happening.
I'm just going to predict the Steelers offseason right here for everyone. They're going to try and sign a receiver to a big contract. If I had to guess, Alec Pierce. He's got ties to the organization. He was brought in during his draft year quite often. It sounds like people in like the front office really like him, so I think that's a high like pick territory that they would want. They're going to draft Ty Simpson in the first round. Everyone accept it. I'm not a fan of the decision, but it's going to happen. They're going to bring back Rodgers. They're going to sell everyone on this path like, oh, we're going to be competitive this year with Rodgers playing, and we're going to have our young quarterback learning behind him like Jordan Love did. And that's how it's going to work out. It's going to work great. That's what they're going to try and sell everyone on.
Stay tuned, folks. All right, so next is probably our favorite hiring. What do you think?
Favorite hiring?
Oh, yeah. Titans.
I would say Kevin Stefanski's my one, but this is a good number 2.
Yeah. And their staff, I mean, Dable for the OC, and I like I like me some Gus. So
I'm not you're a much bigger Gus Bradley fan than me, but I will say this. How much of it's going to be Gus and how much of it's going to be Saleh? Because one of the things he said was, the biggest mistake I made was giving away play calling duties in New York. Sounds like to me he wants to be the play caller. And
well, yeah, but you still you call the plays, but you still, I mean, that's what happens in Seattle right now. Adam Dirty is still the defensive coordinator, and you have the guy calling the plays, but you have Dirty on the side, or you'll have Gus on the side coaching, right? So that Saleh or McDonald or whomever, even the offensive coaches, that are play calling, they don't go over to the defense, they don't go over to the offensive side and be like, hey, this, I want you to do this or whatever else. So, yeah, he's going to call plays more than likely, but Gus Bradley is a good second to be coaching on the sideline and talking about adjustments and things like that they need to be making.
And they've worked together because he was just with San Francisco this season.
Yeah. So
I love that move. I think the really interesting part when we look at the Titans is how much do they really address this offense? Like, their defense needs a lot of help. I don't think anyone will disagree with that, but you have to figure out what Cam Ward is. And you have, I believe they had the 4th overall pick. It's either 4th or 5th. It's top 5. Carnell Tate should be the decision there. He's a receiver. You need to get a guy for Cam Ward. Because what was one of the biggest things we talked about during the season, or even before the season? It was this receiving core is an outright disaster. And listen, DK played pretty good. Like, Alexander played pretty good. I don't think either one of those are number ones. They would be much better, and I think will progress as number twos with a good one. Carnell Tate comes from the Ohio State factory of wide receivers who tend to be pretty good in the NFL. And then we look at you have to fix this offense line. This offense line still not good. If you took offense lineman over wide receiver round one, I could understand it because you need to protect Cam Ward. Dan Moore, because I don't know if you have that contract, looking at it right now, that was one of the worst contracts last offseason by a wide margin. And it proved.
Dan Moore, left tackle, 26 million. They can cut him, and it's only a $12.5 million cap. So this is gonna crack you up. Guess who their biggest cap hit is for this year?
Okay, if it's gonna crack me up, it can't be Simmons, because there's L'Jarius Sneed, is that it?
No, it's Calvin Ridley.
What?
$26.75 million, and only a dead cap of 13.
Well,
For a 32-year-old receiver, he's gone. Dan Moore is probably going to be gone. Jeffrey Simmons is third at $25 million. They should probably give him a pay raise.
Yeah.
L'Jarius Sneed is at $20 million.
He's probably gone.
And his dead cap's only $8 million, right?
So they would clear up, if I'm correct, over $30 million with those three simple moves we've just laid out.
So you're figuring 13, 14, wow. So 20, so 27. You're almost 40.
So you have that much to go get a receiver.
By the way, they're already at 100 million so you'd be sitting at 140 million.
Maybe they're an underrated Max Crosby team.
It's potential. Cushenberry is if they cut those guys, if those guys were gone, it would be Simmons, Cushenberry, and then Amani Hooker. And then Cam Ward. So I mean, their roster is like so crazy. Cam Ward, Tony Pollard, Cody Barton, J.C. Latham. I mean, like Skoronski. So they're. Yeah, it's so crazy. This roster, they're going into the off season. Hold on, I gotta check this out. They're going into the off season with 51 active players. So it's 9:00 on February 3rd. I'm saying that there are 21 contracts that will either be terminated or completely restructured.
They're going to be a very
interesting team.
Yeah, and they have a high draft pick. Whew.
Yeah.
Man, I don't think you let's say you really go and hit the receiving core in free agency. You address that, or you address the offensive line core. Then you take either a receiver or offensive lineman top of round one, and then you maybe trade your second round and maybe some more for Max Crosby and pair him up with Jeffrey Simmons. You could be looking at a very fast turnaround in Tennessee.
Yeah, but so if you look at like the top rated wide receivers, Evans, Kirk, Deebo Samuel, Tutu Atwell, Diami Brown, Adam Thielen, Marquise Brown, Juwan Jennings. I mean,
okay, so Juwan Jennings, I'm just going to pencil in for the Titans.
Possibly. Rashid Shaheed.
They have a good return, man. I don't see that.
But I mean, literally, it's like there is not a lot of. I mean, you're down into Wan'Dale Robinson,
Pickens.
Yeah, Pickens, yeah. George Pickens is definitely John Mechie, Rondell Moore.
Your boy Sky Moore.
Yeah, okay, so I was wrong on that. Alec Pierce, you'd already mentioned him for the Steelers. But I mean, they're old. You're gonna have to go young.
Yeah.
Right? You're gonna have to go draft. I mean,
unless a team like, do you take a chance to maybe move like a mid-round pick for Jordan Addison if things are bad in Minnesota with him?
well, I mean, I don't think that's something that Salah would do simply because I mean
Ayuk.
as many problems as Addison has had, he's a no nonsense coach, right?
Yeah.
So let's follow up with the last of the Mohicans and let's go with the Vegas. And it all signs are saying that it's going to be Clint Kubiak.
Yeah. Can I just say it's kind of weird? Only one coordinator in the Super Bowl is getting hired, right?
Yes.
Like, I get that was the case last year, but like that Vic Fangio wasn't taking a job, Spags wasn't taking a job, and no one was gonna hire Matt Nagy. So like that doesn't shock me. But like looking at this year, like you look at the success the Seahawks had, I would have figured there would have been more interest on your defensive coordinator, who's I keep forgetting his name. He is
Adam Durde.
He is from Britain. Do I get credit for saying that?
There you go.
I'm surprised like there wasn't a lot more conversation about him. I'm surprised the Patriots DC didn't get any looks. Josh McDaniels, he ain't gonna get looks. Like let's be honest here. If a team hires Josh McDaniels to be their head coach, do their fans riot?
Well, no, there's still probably some people that would think that he would do really well. The interesting thing for this is you're starting out after the Super Bowl, and so unless you already have your players picked, ironically, I'm sitting here online looking, and they're like, "Oh, the Silver and Black Pride are like, ooh, get Adam Durde for the defensive coordinator," but you can't do a side. Adam Durde is under contract with Seattle, and you can't do a side position unless you're getting a promotion. So, in the NFL, that's how that works, and he's not going to be promoted higher than a DC, so that really wouldn't work. But unless he plans on like taking from Seattle's roster, he's got slim pickings, got a completed roster, and I mean, this is. I really, if I were him, and this isn't just me saying this because just because I like I told you I wanted him back this year, but there's a lot to do there, and you don't really have a lot to do this year. They have almost $90 million of cap space. The good thing as an offensive coordinator is you'll have the number one pick in the draft,
which we all know who it's going to be.
And you and I can agree to disagree on that player, just because I feel like they'd be doing a disservice to that player, but I know how the NFL is. And so you will have the number one overall pick, which will be a quarterback. And then you will also have, one of the best receiving tight ends in the game. And you've got a really good running back in the game. So, I mean, there are foundational pieces there. You got a pretty good left tackle in Colton Miller. But, I mean, other than that.
With what the Raiders should do. Copy the Bears' strategy last offseason.
Just go buy an offensive line?
Yep.
Well, you have the money, but let's see here real quick.
The reason why I say that is you have Ashton Jeanty, who was really good last year, even behind that atrocity. Then you're going to put a number one overall pick behind that offense line. I really don't like that. And I do think they could use an upgrade at receiver, but realistically, that's probably going to be put to the wayside, as you really need to focus on this offensive line.
So Current free agents for right tackle Braden Smith from the Colts.
Pay him.
And he was paid 17 and a half last year. So then you got Jonah Williams and Cam Robinson. You're not going to really touch them. Haverstein, he's 33. You're not going to really extend him. He'll probably stay with the Rams anyway.
I could see the Rams moving off him. I could. 2 first-round picks. I think it's very possible.
For almost 34-year-old player. No. And besides that, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm saying the Rams could move off him for 2. They have 2 first-round picks. They could draft a guy in the first round, and he can go to the Raiders for a year or 2 and not only be like a starting offensive lineman for them, but also kind of help a lot of the young guys. Because you do have Jack Powers Johnson, who we both love the draft time in. I would still say I very much believe in him.
Yeah. And I think with a new offensive scheme and everything else, Elijah Vera Tucker, he's gonna be cheap, right?
A lot of injuries, so you can get him on the cheaper side, as you said.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, there's definitely players out there that you could get in the tackle position, guards. Depending upon. Yeah, depending upon, I don't know why. Braden Smith must have played guard at some point because he's popped up there in guard as well. But Evan Neal is the youngest guard that's under 31 on this list. That's like top rated. So,
and that's a no-go.
Yeah.
But get a Joel Bitonio in there. Actually, Kevin Zeitler maybe announced his retirement. Isaac Seumalo from the Steelers, you could get him in there. You don't necessarily need to go youth for the offensive line because you're going to have a young quarterback. You're going to have a young running back. Maybe veterans on the offensive line is the way to go for the first year or 2, as you can draft guys then and proceed to fill out the offensive line with younger talent then.
Yeah. So I think they have a lot of room to maneuver, and the problem is for the last couple of years the offensive line, there's just not enough players that are being developed, right?
Well, I think that we look at a college football discussion of so much of the transfer portal is moving that they're not necessarily getting steady offensive line coaching.
Yeah, no, I would agree.
Yeah, but that's a story for a different subject entirely. Overall, though, because let's wrap this up. We've been talking for over an hour. What is your favorite hire? And if you had to pick 2 teams to make the playoffs from this coaching search, who would it be?
Oh, well, I already said it'll be Buffalo just because I think their roster is still good enough. And then Stefanski.
I would do Buffalo too and Stefanski. Here's the thing though. You said them both, so I will give you 2 different teams because I am different and unique. I'll take Jesse Minter and I will take the Tennessee Titans and Robert Saleh.
Oh, I like that one.
Because we just spent how long just getting a little bit excited about the potential they could do this offseason. I feel like I kind of have to now.
Yeah, no, I think they've got the coaching staff, and they can do so much. And like I said, you can start off free agency with $140 million in the blink of an eye.
Yeah.
And, go out and kind of like what you said with the Raiders, just go out and buy some of the offensive line pieces that you need to give Cam Ward protection. I really don't like a lot of the maybe you have to trade for a potentially good wide receiver, right?
Yeah.
But there's a lot there.
We discussed it. Maybe you'll call Miami and see if they're willing to move Jalen Waddle.
Yeah, I mean that's possible. You'd have to work out something where you ate his dead cap, which is $30-some-odd million, I believe I saw.
But you can.
Yes, you absolutely can.
Yeah, contact the Jets. I doubt it, but like ask about Garrett Wilson. Just ask, because I think we look at the Titans have such the possibility for a high turnaround. It's not even funny, and I really wasn't thinking about it until we really went to discussion tonight. And as we kept on going, I'm like, wait a second. I'm so fascinated about them this offseason now, and I can't remember the last time I said I was fascinated about the Tennessee Titans.
Well, definitely. You know, a sneaky trade would be Chris Olave.
Ooh, I like that. I like that a lot. I maybe they get like a receiver like that and they go get Deebo Samuel for that veteran presence that worked with Saleh in San Francisco. Well, maybe not worked with, but like was around, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love me some Deebo.
But that's going to wrap us up
guys.
today. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. Tomorrow is Super Bowl 51 recap review, whatever you want to call it, retrospective, as I look at the Patriots' historic comeback against the Atlanta Falcons. And check out yesterday's upload as it's our Super Bowl preview and we talks about the conference championship games. I hope you enjoyed listening. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you everyone for 500 subscribers. This is the first chance I've really got sat down and record since hitting that mark. It means a lot to me. Thank you to everyone who subscribed, anyone who's ever watched a little bit of this content. I appreciate you all. And lastly, everyone, let's enjoy it. We got the last football game until fall coming up on Sunday. Have a great day, everyone.
Go Seahawks.